Olga has chosen a prelude this morning that is Linda Clark's favorite hymn, Come Sunday. It's number 202 in the hymnal. The music and lyrics are by Duke Ellington, and the words go like this. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people through. I believe that God put sun and moon up in the sky. I don't mind the gray skies because they're just clouds passing by. Heaven is a goodness time, a brighter light on high. Do unto others as you would have them do to you, and have a brighter by and by. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people through. I believe God is now, was then, and always will be. With God's blessing, we can make it through eternity. Lord, dear Lord above, God Almighty, God of love, please look down and see my people through. Welcome to the month of May, the month of nourishing beauty, nurturing beauty, and bringing you lots of beauty today. Welcome to our poetry service, put on by Living by Heart, a group that has been meeting since 2006, I believe, bringing beauty into their lives on a monthly basis. I invite you to settle in and let go of your worries this morning and your to-do list, and allow the beauty around us to nurture and keep you. A call to worship this morning in the words of Gordon B. McKeeman. We summon ourselves from the demands and delights of the daily round, from the dirty dishes and unwaxed floors, from unmowed grass and untrimmed bushes, from all incompleteness and not yet startedness, from the unholy and the unresolved. We summon ourselves to attend to our vision of peace and justice, of cleanliness and health, of delight and devotion, of the lovely and the holy, of who we are and what we can do. We summon the power of tradition and the exhilaration of newness, the wisdom of the ages and the knowing of the very young. We summon beauty, eloquence, poetry, and music to be the bearers of our dreams. We would open our eyes, our ears, our minds, our hearts to the amplest dimensions of life. We rejoice in manifold promises and possibilities. Rick and Rita will light our chalice this morning.
Thank you. Okay, thanks. Why I Wake Early by Mary Oliver. Hello, sun in my face. Hello, you who made the morning and spread it over the fields and into the faces of the tulips and the nodding morning glories, and into the windows of even the miserable and crotchety. Best preacher that ever was, dear star, that just happens to be where you are in the universe, to keep us from ever darkness, to ease us with warm touching, to hold us in the great hands of light. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Watch now how I start the day in happiness, in kindness.
Our opening song today is number 396. I know this rose will open. Just a reminder, in person, we can hum along, but not yet sing. Those at home, please mute if you want to sing along.
I know this rose will open. I know my fear will burn away. I know my soul will unfurl.
So I'm a beachside hotel. As you can see,
I have a story for the ages this morning. Actually, it's a poem. Did you ever try to write a poem? Or an essay? Or a sermon? Or paint a picture? And you just couldn't seem to start? Writer's block. I get it. Sometimes it's helpful to think about something else, something joyful and alive. And my friend, Reverend Peter Friedrichs, puts this feeling so well into his poem called Each New Day. Why is this blank page staring back at me, mocking like an affliction and fraught with dread? How can it hold such sway, this simple emptiness? Might it instead be a gift? Left on my doorstep overnight, waiting to be broken open with the dawn? A present, eager to emerge if only I had the sense to hold the paper over a candle flame. Its lemon juice message appearing like magic, clear and true. Each new day is like this, pure air, devoid of density, but for the weight of our own invention. Birds do not worry the morning or fret the rising sun. They wait expectant until its rays kiss their downy necks. And then, stretching, they turn to face the day and sing. We don't have any children to play out this morning, so we will go to Rita, who has otherwise.
This poem is Otherwise by Jane Kenyon. And she was born in 1947 and died in 1995. And she did have cancer, I think, when she was writing this poem. I got out of bed on two strong legs. It might have been otherwise. I ate cereal, sweet milk, ripe, flawless peach. It might have been otherwise. I took the dog uphill to the birch wood. All morning I did the work I love. At noon, I lay down with my mate. It might have been otherwise. We ate dinner together at a table with silver candlesticks. It might have been otherwise. I slept in a bed in a room with paintings on the walls and planned another day, just like this day. But one day, I know it will be otherwise.
The Peace of Wild Things by Wendell Berry. When despair for the world grows in me, and I wake in the night at the least sound, in fear of what my life and my children's lives may be, I go and lie down where the wood drake rests in his beauty on the water, and the great heron feeds. I come into the peace of wild things, who do not tax their lives with forethought of grief. I come into the presence of still water and feel above me the day-blind stars waiting with their light. For a time, I rest in the grace of the world and am free.
I thought I would share a couple of readings on creativity. I know we have many creative people and different arts in our community. So this first prose reading is on creativity from Mary Oliver. In creative work of all kinds, those who are the world's working artists are not trying to help the world go around, but forward, which is something altogether different from the ordinary. Such work does not refute the ordinary, it is simply something else. Its labor requires a different outlook, a different set of priorities. Certainly there is within each of us a self that is neither a child nor a servant of the hours. It is a third self, occasional in some, tyrant in others. This self is out of love with the ordinary. It is out of love with time. It has a hunger for eternity. Intellectual work sometimes, spiritual work certainly, artistic work always. These are forces that fall within its grasp, forces that must travel beyond the realm of the hour and the restraint of the habit. Nor can the actual work be well separated from the entire life. Like the knights of the Middle Ages, there is little the creatively inclined person can do but prepare himself, body and spirit, for the labor to come, for his adventures are all unknown. In truth, the work itself is the adventure. And no artist should go about this work, or would want to, with less than extraordinary energy and concentration. The extraordinary is what art is about. There's a notion that creative people are absent-minded, reckless, heedless of social customs and obligations. It is, hopefully, true. For they are in another world altogether. The working, concentrating artist is an adult who refuses interruption from himself, who remains absorbed and energized in and by the work, who is thus responsible to the work. There is no other way work of artistic work can be done. And the occasional stress to the striver is everything. The most regretful people on earth are those who felt the call to creative work, who felt their own creative power restive and uprising and failed to give it either power or time. Mary Oliver is a poet I think most of us know. This is prose work of hers. But for those who don't know, she lived on the Cape for a great while, and her imagery became associated with that part of the world. So when she moved to Florida, I don't think I was the only follower who was upset that she was no longer writing about the turtles in the woods up here. Marie Howe is a New York poet, and she spent time with her brother as he died from AIDS a number of years ago. The Meadow by Marie Howe. As we walk into words that have waited for us to enter them, so the meadow, muddy with dreams, is gathering itself together and trying with difficulty to remember how to make wildflowers. Imperceptibly heaving with the old impatience, it knows for certain that two horses walk upon it, weary of hay. The horses, sway-backed and self-important, cannot design how the small white pony mysteriously escapes the fence every day. This is the miracle just beyond their heavy-headed grasp, and they turn from his nuzzling with irritation. Everything is crying out. Two crows rising from the hill fight and caw-cry in mid-flight, then fall and light on the meadow grass, bewildered by their weight. A dozen wasps drone, tiny prop planes, sputtering into a field the farmer has not yet plowed. And what I thought was the phone, turned down and ringing, is the knock of a woodpecker for food or warning, I can't say. I want to add my cry to those who would speak for the sound alone. But in this world, where something is always listening, even murmuring has meaning, as in the next room you moan in your sleep, turning into late morning. My love, this might be all we know of forgiveness, this small time when you can forget what you are. There will come a day when the meadow will think water, root, blossom through no fault of its own, and the horses will lie down in daisies and clover. Bedeviled, human, your plight in waking is to choose from the words that even now sleep on your tongue, and know that tangled among them and terribly new is the sentence that could change your life.
To see our world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wildflower, holding infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour.
To see a world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wildflower. Hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour.
To see our world in a grain of sand, and a heaven in a wildflower, hold infinity in the palm of your hand, and eternity in an hour.
And now Joe.
A bit of a change. I have a haiku, talk about haiku. What is haiku? Haiku is a poetic form that evolved in Japan about the early, mid-17th century. And it started out very stylized. 17 syllables or sounds, 3 lines, must have talk about a season, and must have a seasonal word in it. It has since evolved into a poetic form that is a poem that expresses something. I don't read haiku for meaning. I read it for expression. It expresses something in a single breath. I just took more. The most famous haiku poet is Basho. And this is probably the most famous haiku there was. At one time, there's a website that has 32 translations of this poem. But this is my favorite, and I don't know who was responsible for it. Ancient pond, frog jumps in, water sound. The next poem is by Allen Ginsberg. No, Rick, I'm not going to read Howl. A tradition among haiku poets is to write a death poem, on your deathbed to write a poem. This is Allen Ginsberg's death poem. To see the void infinite, vast infinite, look outside the window into the blue sky. The next poem is the first poem. I wanted to say all these poems are from a book. I keep using it. It's part of my daily meditation practice. The book is called Haiku Mind, 108 Poems to Cultivate Awareness and Open Your Heart by Patricia Dunnigan. And this is the first poem in the book. And it really captures, I think, the spirit of haiku, to get that haiku moment, that aha moment. Something you've done every day, walking up your stairs every day, you know. But this poem, pausing, halfway up the stairs, white chrysanthemums. And this poem is by probably the most famous Japanese female poet. Her name is Shiro Ni. And it's part of the whole tradition in that part of the world of doing no harm. Her her well was clustered with flowers all around it. She did not want to disturb them. Morning glories, the well bucket entangled. I ask for water. This is probably my favorite Basho poem. One of my favorite haikus too. And for some reason, it always takes me back to when I was a little kid. My parents took me to Gettysburg, me and my family to Gettysburg. And we stood on this ridge looking down on that valley, big grassy valley. And it goes back to Pickett's infamous charge. Summer grasses, all that remains of soldiers' dreams. And another beat poet, Jack Kerouac, The Taste of Rain. Why kneel? And another one of my favorites by the poet Isa, probably one of the 3 most famous Japanese haiku poets, Basho, Isa, and Busan. This way, the world of dew is yes, a world of dew. And yet, this poem was written, he had a very sad life, and a poem was written on the death of his daughter. And I'd like to close with one of my favorite also. The haiku doesn't have to be 3 lines, it can be 1 line even. There's a poet, Marlene Mountain, who recently passed away several years ago. And she writes this wonderful little poem, Pink and I, Spring Rain. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. The Guest House by Rumi. This was chosen by Nancy Johnson, who's a member of this group, but wasn't able to be here this morning, so I'm reading it. This being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they are a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Still, treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whatever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And now we have Dick Boudelier, who is recorded reading William Stafford's Any Morning.
Let me read you now a poem by William Stafford.
Can you turn it way up, Steph?
Just lying on the couch and being happy, only humming a little, the quiet sound in the head. Trouble is busy elsewhere at the moment. It has so much to do in the world. People who might judge are mostly asleep. They can't monitor you all the time, and sometimes they forget. When dawn flows over the hedge, you can get up and act busy. Little corners like this, pieces of heaven left lying around, can be picked up and saved. People won't even see that you have them. They are so light and easy to hide. Later in the day, you can act like the others. You can shake your head. You can frown.
Appreciate you recording that, Dick, and Nancy for being your photographer. Now we have Ann Morrissey with a tuft of flowers.
Thank you, Reverend Lynda. I'm a Living by Heart groupie, and I was asked to read a favorite poem, and I hope I do it justice. It's called The Tuft of Flowers by Robert Frost. I went to turn the grass once after one who mowed it in the dew before the sun. The dew was gone that made his blade so keen before I came to view the leveled scene. I looked for him behind an aisle of trees. I listened for his whetstone on the breeze, but he had gone his way, the grass all mown, and I must be, as he had been, alone. As all must be, I said within my heart, whether they work together or apart. But as I said it, swift there passed me by on noiseless wing a wildered butterfly, seeking with memories grown dim overnight some resting flower of yesterday's delight. And once I marked his flight go round and round as where some flower now lay withering on the ground. And then he flew as far as I could see, and then on tremulous wing came back to me. I thought of questions that have no reply and would have turned to toss the grass to dry, but he turned first and led my eye to look at a tall tuft of flowers beside a brook. A leaping tongue of bloom, the sigh had spared behind a reedy brook, the sigh had bared. I left my place to know them by their name, finding them butterfly weed when I came. The mower in the dew had loved them thus by leaving them to flourish, not for us, nor yet to draw one thought of ours to him, but from sheer morning gladness at the butterfly and I had lit upon, nevertheless, a message from the dawn that made me hear the wakening birds around and hear his long sigh whispering to the ground. And and feel a spirit kindred to my own, so that henceforth I worked no more alone, but glad with him. I worked as with his aid, and weary sought at noon with him the shade, and dreaming, as it were, held brotherly speech with one whose thought I had not hoped to reach. Men work together, I told him from the heart, whether they work together or apart.
Thank you. And now at this time, we will take the offering and we welcome your monetary contribution to the continuing work of this beloved community. Give what you can and take care of yourself. Half our offering today will be donated to Days for Girls in Shrewsbury, suggested this month by Celia Brown. Your offerings will be gratefully received as we enjoy our offertory from Olga. So much beauty here today. Joy Harjo is a poet that I had never been acquainted with before I started following the Living by Heart folks. And I really love this one, Remember, by Joy Harjo. Remember the sky that you were born under. Know each of the stars' stories. Remember the moon, know who she is. Remember the sun's birth at dawn. That is the strongest point in time. Remember sundown and the giving away tonight. Remember your birth, how your mother struggled to give you form and breath. You are evidence of her life and her mother's and hers. Remember your father. He is your life also. Remember the earth, whose skin you are. Red earth, black earth, yellow earth, white earth, brown earth. We are earth. Remember the plants, trees, animal life, who all have their tribes, their families, their histories, to talk to them, listen to them. They are alive homes. Remember the wind, remember her voice. She knows the origin of the universe. Remember, you are all people, and all people are you. Remember, you are this universe, and this universe is you. Remember, all is in motion, is growing, is you. Remember, language comes from this. Remember, the dance language is, that is life. Remember. And Rick will give our final poem, I Dream a World.
This is a poem by Langston Hughes, who was part of the Harlem Renaissance. I dream a world. I dream a world where man no other man will scorn, where love will bless the earth and peace its paths adorn. I dream a world where all will know sweet freedom's way, where greed no longer saps the soul, nor avarice blights our day. A world I dream where black or white, whatever race you be, will share bounties of the earth, and every man is free. Where wretchedness will hang its head, and joy like a pearl attends the needs of all mankind. Of such I dream my world.
Thank you. And I want to thank everyone who contributed to this service. And I want to give a real shout out to Pam Landry, who did extra duty with the order of service on top of all that she's doing for Search. So thank you, Pam. Couple of things before we go. Saturday, May 21st from 9 to noon is the Spring Care Day. Please come and nurture beauty of our grounds and buildings. On Memorial Day, we will have a plant sale and barbecue from 10 to 2. And the barbecue or the Q team, different kind of Q, come on, says, come one, come all, for your first of the year grilled burgers, hot dogs, and veggie burgers grilled by our First Parish Q team. Yay! And if you have something that you would like to bring to the attention of Cindy Bushy or the board, or if you have questions, you want to put in, to discuss things about the church, every Monday Cindy shows up on Zoom. There's a link in the Tuesday and Friday perspectives. So if you have something to say, that's a great time. She's just sitting there eating her lunch, and it's great to talk. So you're invited. Now, our benediction today, our good word, benediction, is a quote from Ralph Waldo Emerson, again read by Dick Boudelier. This is a piece that has been read at the end of each Living by Heart gathering, from my understanding. And after that benediction, Olga is going to play, as the postlude, one of Dick's favorite hymns, number 409, All Through the Night. Dick Boudelier, reading Emerson.
Write it on your heart that every day is the best day in the year. He is rich who owns the day, and no one owns the day who allows it to be invaded with fret and anxiety. Finish every day and be done with it. You have done what you could. Some blunders and absurdities no doubt crept in. Forget them as soon as you can. Tomorrow is a new day. Begin it well and serenely, with too high a spirit to be cumbered with your old nonsense.
Men, go in peace.